stuff and grow, then how are they going to learn and grow from something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure there's some people out there that are all for it.
Yeah. So, following on from what you were saying about being disconnected from your creativity, so many people these days are also disconnected from their body and from their feelings. So I've been studying yoga, and even just myself in my own practice, like if I don't have that time in my day where I go on my mat and I connect to my body, I'll forget about it. I'll just go around and I'll have this to-do list in my head, and I'll just tick off my to-do list. And at the end of the day, I was like, oh yeah, I've achieved everything, and go to bed. But I don't tune into my breath. I don't tune into my body. I won't sit down and be present with myself and sit with my feelings and allow myself to process that.
Yeah, 100%. And look, we're starting children in full-time school at the age of 5, and they're spending 5 days a week around other people. And it's forced socialisation. We'll get into socialisation in a minute. And then we're giving them all these out-of-school curriculum activities, and then we're giving them homework, and then we've got things to do on the weekends. We're going to go here, there, and everywhere. So through our lives, we're not understanding that we need time to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we're painting a different picture for our children of what's important, and you're so right. We're growing up and going, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm depressed, I'm unhappy. And to me, depression is a really positive thing. I'm crazy, I know, but I'm happy if someone says I'm depressed. Good, you know something's not right. You understand that you're numb, you're not feeling anything.
Yeah.
And from there, I think we can really spend that time and go introverted and churn who we are and churn our life and work through the things that we need to, slow down and start learning what makes us happy. Depression leads us to our creativity again. It leads us back to our imagination and back to our passion, because, our body, everything in our body just goes full stop, that's it, no more. You're not living like a robot anymore. We're going to make you so unhappy that you have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a really positive thing.
So what does a normal week of homeschooling look like?
Well, for me, I do more of the unschooling method. So we'll just talk a little bit about what homeschooling is, unschooling is, and then you might hear about the radical unschoolers as well. So homeschooling is more, I guess, curriculum styled. So you will find that some parents will get their children up, and in the morning they all might be sitting around their table with some schoolwork and computers and things, and they'll have some tasks to do and some projects to complete. And so, yeah, I guess that's more your homeschooling method. Your unschooling method is when you don't give your kids any work at all. You just totally, basically let them do what they want, but you pick up the cues on when they're interested in something, and then you take them further.
Yeah.
And radical unschooling is, I don't know, some people say they're radical unschoolers. I think it's probably the same thing. I'm not sure what the differences are with the two terms. Radical unschooling might be when you don't register the child as well.
Yep.
So if you want to homeschool, you go to, let me see, I wrote down the website. You go to the vrqa.vic.gov.au website, and you apply to homeschool, which is just filling out a form and basically sending in a birth certificate. Although this year it's changed, so now you have to send in a learning plan to show what you're going to be doing for the first year, along with your application. And everyone's freaking out about that. I just got sent a letter last year saying, am I still going to be homeschooling? So each year they'll send you an email asking if you're going to continue homeschooling. I said yes, and it was fine. They didn't ask me for a lesson plan or anything.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the lesson plans are for the new people that want to home, which would probably be you if you decide to do it.
Yeah.
And you'll have to write up a lesson plan and send it in. Don't freak out. Like, there are so many people out there. The homeschool community, we all help each other. Like, they are so welcoming. I was actually really surprised when I first stepped into the community. It's like, oh, I homeschool, you homeschool. Oh, cool, we're like family now. And everyone just, I think because we understand that we're just doing our own thing and that each child's unique and there's no expectation, there's no competition. And it's just so welcoming and warming, and everybody's just so accepting of everyone else's children. And I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah,
what was I talking about?
I met a few parents last week who are homeschooling. I went to this meetup. I didn't realise that there would be so many parents there who were homeschooling. I was expecting more like kinder-age kids, but a lot of them were older as well. And I just sat down somewhere, like, because I didn't know anyone there, so I just talked to the first lady, talked to me. And I sat down somewhere with my daughter, and then these two mums came up and started introducing themselves and talking to me. Like, wow, this is really welcoming. Yeah, it felt really nice.
Yeah, well, only last night my husband went and picked up these 2 Lego boxes for the children. They're right into their Lego at the moment. And I thought this needs to get sorted out because it's just everywhere. And he got talking to her, and they happen to be homeschoolers. And he's come home with her number and said, like, "I'll let you know when our next meetup is, come down." And that's exactly what it's like. Everyone's really welcoming. Yeah. So with the lesson plans, jump on Facebook, find the homeschool groups that are close to you or within an hour away, and just say, like, "Hey, I'm freaking out about this lesson plan. Has anyone written one? What do I do?" And seriously, all the mums help everyone out, so you're not alone. It feels overwhelming at first, but once you do start going to some meetups and start speaking to some people who have been doing this for a while, they answer your questions and you get more of an idea, I guess, for yourself. As I said, me personally, I started off with the schooling mentality myself, and that just all pretty much went out the window. And my son's learning. I know he's learning. You just know, like, when a child's 1 to the age of 2, you know that their speech is getting better. You know they're learning more words. You go, "Oh, wow, they can pick that up now. Oh my God, they recognise the colour blue." Like, we recognise things in our kids. So I can, even though I couldn't really sit here and pinpoint every little thing to you, I know how much my son's grown in the last year. So he did prep, and then I pulled him out because he just wasn't happy with school. Yeah. Just not happy at all. And I think that's another thing. A lot of the kids that are coming through today are more sensitive. And, on a universal level, we're stepping into a higher vibration. It's a much higher vibration here on the planet now. And so the children that are coming through are a lot more sensitive. They're a lot more in tune, and they just can't cope with this old world that was designed, hundreds of years ago for something that's not even relevant for today. Mm. Some schools are bringing in, like, meditation and quiet time, and I think it's very teacher specific. If you get a teacher that's a bit more holistic, then your child might get that, in their classroom in the morning, and some teachers are adopting it because they hear other teachers say how much more settled the kids are after they do a meditation, and that's good. It's a step in the right direction, but the child's still not really getting a choice of when they need to meditate. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, I know my child now, he can manage his time really well. He knows when he's hungry. He knows when he wants to go to bed. They just know stuff. I don't have to tell him what to do. He kind of just maps out his own day, and sometimes I have things planned and I take them out, and if they really don't want to go, I just don't go. Yeah.
I guess that ties into the whole idea of your child learning their own body and what they need, and their interests and getting to know themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, for me, we are very much into healthy, clean eating, and I feel like my kids are getting so much more exposure through that than at school. I think they would have probably picked up a lot of not so good habits. Yeah. And, I can see that in my eldest, what he's picked up. He went through the school system, and our children turn out okay, and he's a very strong boy and he's quite independent, but I can see how much that schooling has knocked out of him. And you look back and you think, he should never have been in school. He was always in trouble for fiddling and not sitting still. And, we want all these 5 to 8-year-old children, especially boys, that's probably at the time where they're really playful. We want them to sit and be still and not interrupt and not think and listen. And, it's crazy. Why are we putting our children through this? Even if we just start them in school when they're older, when they are sort of more 8 to 10, rather than when they're young and so innocent and so they want to explore. Why aren't we allowing them that time? What's the rush?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of do know what the rush is. They understand that a child up until the age of 7 runs basically purely on trance. So they're just taking everything in, and that's the time that you're programming them, basically. And the system understands this, so they grab them when they're young. And a prep class, prep grade 1, grade 2, it's all set out like year 10, year 11, year 12, because they're grabbing them and they're setting them up for later in life to go to uni, to be good students, to pass VCE. That's kind of the method behind the madness of it all. And I just see it differently. I just think, why does my child need to learn to sit down and pass a test? That is not going to measure the intelligence of my child, or their happiness, or their success. Nothing. It's just a piece of paper.
So it's not until after they turn 7 that they get that filter. Is that what it is? Everything goes into their subconscious mind until
basically they run on trance. They also work through each of the chakras in those first 7 years, and you can see that in their behaviour. Like my child's 3, she's in her solar plexus, she's starting to learn her boundaries, and and then I remember when my son, he was 4, when he stepped into his heart chakra, it's the 4th chakra, and he apologised to me because I think he knocked me and I went, he's in his heart chakra, finally. It's such a relief after going through that solar plexus. And then you find around the age of 5, which is sort of when they're starting school, and they question everything. Why this? Why that? Well, they're in their throat chakra. And then, they step into the 3rd eye. And then around age 7, they step into their crown chakra, they become independent, and basically everything you've learnt in those first 7 years has formed you as a person. Now, of course, we can change things and whatever, but, if they've spent a good few years of their life, and most of us have, in school, then that has formed a lot of who we are and how we're going to be in society later on. And people make money from that.
Going back to the practicalities of homeschooling. So you mentioned that you go to meetups and things. Is that how you get your kids out to socialise?
Look, children are socialising all the time. If you take them shopping at the supermarket, they're socialising. I think we're also conditioned to see socialising as they're at school, they're around a bunch of other kids, they're all around the same age, and that's what we call socialising. I call socialising being around a variety of different people, being able to speak to everyone from every walk of life, not just people around the same age. And you learn things from people who are 100 to the age of 1. Kids are always watching. And you just watch a child. Well, I learn from my children even. I watch them and I think they're taking that in. They're noticing what that person's doing and they're processing that. In school, when they're all around the same age, I kind of think it's the blind leading the blind. Because they're all kind of getting programmed the same way and they're all the same age, and that's why it becomes quite competitive, and we try so hard to fit in. And I don't know, that's not really true socialisation. There definitely are meetups that you can go to. Lots of them are around. They'll sort of meet up regularly each week on a particular day. There's different groups around. Sometimes people meet in homeschool groups and then they sort of break off and create their own little group. So there's plenty of opportunity to make friends. They may not necessarily be the exact age, but it will just be children that click and want to spend time together. And to me, it doesn't matter if there's a no gap, a 1 year gap, or a 5 year gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also if your child has a sibling